Hi guys, Grace here. So, unfortunately, all my audio is a little bit wonky when I was filming this video, and it may be a good thing because if I didn't speed this video up at all, it will be almost an hour long, which is really long. It'll be one of the longest videos it will be the longest video I've ever posted, and it's a little bit of a I think it's a blessing in disguise. So essentially, welcome to vlog one. What I will be doing today is that I will be trying to recreate all the Schmincke Super Granulating paints. And I thought about this idea because actually I bought one tube, which is the Glacier Green on screen right now. And I wanted to collect all of them slowly, but they were really expensive for one. And the second thing was that after I bought it, I did more research and I realized that they were actually I could actually make most of them with the paints that I already have. I didn't have to go out and buy like a new paint of each of them. And at the same time, honestly, most of the colors there's not really much. I don't really see myself using them much by itself, or since it's already like a mixed granulating color, there's not really much options in terms of mixing it further with other colors as well. So that's why I decided to do this little kind of like exploration, see if I can do all 25 colors of the super granulating range. So what I was doing was that I actually gathered all the paints that I needed into one little tray. And then the first color I'm starting with is actually Glacier Turquoise. Glacier Turquoise is a color made with PG50 and PV16, which is a kind of like a cobalt turquoise, cobalt teal color, and a manganese violet. So for Glacier Turquoise, what I did was that I had manganese violet, which is PV16 exactly from the Schmincke Horadam line, and then that's what I use. And for PG50, I use cobalt turquoise light from Holbein, which is actually PB28. But that was the kind of like the most teal turquoise color that I had. And then the next one will be Glacier Blue, which is PB29 and PG50. So again, PG50, I'm using the Cobalt Turquoise Light from Holbein, and PB29, I'm using French Ultramarine from Schmincke. So something that you will realize is that in the entire range, there are a few colors that are constantly used. And if I didn't count wrongly, you can actually make uh, all 25 colors with just 16 colors. And it may be cheaper for you. It would definitely be cheaper because you're buying less tubes of paints to start with, and actually could give you more options because when you could mix different combinations yourself. So it's a plus and a minus depending. And this one actually I prepared a Glacier Green, which is the tube that I bought. But just as I was making the Glacier Blue, I accidentally kind of swiped my brush over it. So there's just some streaks of blue. So yeah. But Glacier Green is PR233 and PG50, which is a potter's pink, as well as the cobalt turquoise light. And this one, because I had like a real life swatch sheet right in front of me, it was much easier to color match in that sense, or try to get it to somewhere similar. So for the all the other colors, I do not have them in real life. I've never seen them in real life, but I'm going off the swatches on the uh, what do you call it? Jackson's art blog. So if you're lazy to watch this video, to be honest, this is a pretty kind of like boring video. So it wasn't meant to be like this. Yeah. If my audio didn't get ruined, I actually shared quite a few like funny stories while I was talking through this video. Unfortunately, all the audio is completely gone. there were just a lot of like random stops here and there, and even I thought it was unbearable to listen to. So I decided to just do a voiceover instead. So, like I say, if you do not want to watch the entire video, I also posted a disclaimer at the very start, which is that you can just completely skip this vlog, go to vlog number 2, and at the very end of vlog number 2, I will do a full kind of like a mini slideshow of all the colors with the reference photo I was using from Jackson's side by side. So you'll be able to see exactly how well the duping went. Yeah. So the next color on the list is Glacier Brown, which is PBR6 and PG26. So both of these colors I have from Schmincke, PBR6 being Mars Brown, and then PG26 being Cobalt Green Dark. So that is, this one was a little bit interesting to work with though, because I think I kind of like overworked it a bit. So the green didn't really show through until it really dried. So unfortunately on screen right now, it just looks like a brown color. Yeah, I tried adding a little bit of green, of the cobalt green into it here and there, but then I think I kind of overworked for this swatch. So for granulation was something that I initially avoided because I thought it was very hard to work with. And after getting into watercolors a little bit more, I learned to appreciate it, and that's when Schmincke conveniently launched this super granulating line, and I impulsively went to buy the Glacier Green. To be honest, I just looked at the online swatches and then I just bought the color that or at least the paint that spoke to me the most. I mean, I like the color combination. I thought it was kind of special compared to the others. So that is the only color I've got. So the next color that I'm currently mixing is Glacier Black, which is PBK11 and PB35. So PBK11, actually I'm using Daniel Smith's Lunar Black, and for PB35, I'm using Daniel Smith's Cerulean Blue. So both are not Schmincke Horadam colors, but this was the cheaper alternative because for Daniel Smith colors, I had the option of buying in like 5 ml tubes as well. So this is why there is a wide mixture of brands and such, because for some colors I just really don't see myself using that much, and I am pretty lucky in the sense that not only do I have the option of buying smaller tubes, what I'm showing you right now is this what we call quarter pens, and there's actually an Etsy seller that has a huge range of paints, and she's able to sell them in quarter pens. Just in case you don't want the entire tube, you just want to try a little bit, you can I tend to get those colors from her in quarter pen forms. So yeah, and then this will sum up for the Glacier. I can't really remember what I'm talking about here, but I believe I am just looking at the so-called real Glacier green that I own versus the one that I mixed up. The colors look pretty accurate, but just that the granulation isn't showing through as much as the one that was like that came in a tube. So then for the next color will be the Galaxy series, and then the first one is Galaxy Pink. Galaxy Pink is made out of PV16 and PBR33. PV16 is Manganese Violet, which I own from Schmincke, so it should be the so-called correct color. However, for PBR33, if I'm not wrong, under Schmincke it's actually Mahogany Brown. I already have a lot of earth tones, so I decided to just replace that with PBR11, which is Daniel Smith's Lunar Brown. And actually, I think this is quite a good matchup. I think it looks pretty similar to the reference photo from Jackson's blog post. This is also a pretty nice color actually. I had a long back then when I first bought the Glacier Green, there were only the three series, which is the Glacier, Galaxy, and Deep Sea. The Tundra and the Forest were have yet to have wasn't released at that point in time. So I thought about getting either Glacier Green, Galaxy Pink, or Deep Sea Green if I'm not wrong. But then Deep Sea Green looked a little bit like plain. I don't really use pinks and purples that much. So that's why eventually I decided to go with Glacier Green instead. So the next color is Galaxy Violet, which is PR233 and PB29, which is for both colors I'm using the Schmincke Potter's Pink, and French Ultramarine. So already in the 7 colors, I've already used quite a few colors twice. So I've used PG50 twice, I've used PB29 twice, I've used Potter's Pink twice. So sometimes, so if you're really looking into the super granulating range, yes, you may not be able to get the exact ratio all the time, and it may not be so convenient, but I think it was a good thing that I decided to do this, because now that I've done it, I honestly can't convince myself to buy more tubes of the super granulating anymore. So in Singapore, price wise, one tube of the super granulating is already $20+. And if I think now they do sell them in like the 5 ml tubes, sets of 5, but still those are like $60 for just about 30 mLs of paint. No, 25 mLs of paint, which I think is not really worth it. It's interesting, maybe it could be a collector's item because it comes in a very nice wooden box. But at the same time, if you want to go out and make all these colors from Schmink, you just need to buy 16 tubes of paint, and you can mix all of them by yourself. So the next color is Galaxy Blue, which is PG50 and PB29. So if this sounds familiar, it's because it's the exact same mix as Glacier Blue, the second one in the top row. But this one uses more of the teal color, whereas Glacier Blue uses more of the ultramarine. So, you know, if you buy just, even if you really wanted to own uh, one of the super granulating tubes, you could buy Glacier Blue, and you could buy like a tube of you could buy Glacier or Galaxy Blue and buy a tube of either. So if you buy Glacier Blue, you can buy a tube of PG50, you add a little bit more of it, and it becomes Galaxy Blue, and vice versa. So honestly, if you like the blues, you don't have to jump into it and buy all the colors. You can just, mix it up yourself in this manner. The next color is Galaxy Brown, PV62 and PBR6. So PBR6, I'm using Schmincke's Mars Brown, but PV62 is actually a pretty new pigment. I've never seen anybody offer it except for Schmincke themselves. And if I'm not wrong, it's listed as Cobalt Violet Hue or Cobalt Violet Deep Hue, something along those lines. And it's a pretty expensive color. I think it's like a series 4 color. So I didn't want to get that, and I ended up getting a Jackson Art half pan of Cobalt Violet Deep Hue, which is actually a mix of colors, PV16 and PV23. So this one may look a little bit off, but I don't really have anything else as a replacement that can be similar to PV62. So, but honestly, I think this looks pretty nice though. I feel like Galaxy Pink and Galaxy Brown are pretty similar. It's just that Galaxy Pink leans towards the pink side, and Galaxy Brown leans towards the brown side. So the last color is Galaxy Black, which is PBK11 and PB29. So PBK11 is Daniel Smith's Lunar Black, and PB29 is Schmincke's French Ultramarine. So this is a very simple like black blue color. nothing much to talk about. You could probably mix this yourself very easily with other color combinations. So, you know, that's why I'm not completely, that's why I can't convince myself to get all the paints. There are some very interesting mixes, but at the same time, there are also this kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of like normal. There's not really much anything exciting going on. It's just, yeah, it's just blue plus black. So that's why I wanted to do this and maybe also help you save some money. And then right now I'm just scrubbing out my palette. If you realize my palette's a little bit like strange, is because it's actually made with air dried clay, and I actually end up spending a lot more on it than I initially planned to or wanted to. So before I talk more about a palette, the next color is Deep Sea Violet, which is PB29 plus PBR33. So PB29 again is Schmincke's French Ultramarine. PBR33, I have replaced it with Daniel Smith's Lunar Brown, which is PBR11. So back to the palette. I saw somebody make a watercolor palette on YouTube with using air dried clay, and I wanted to do the same because I wanted this like long rectangle shape with very like shallow edges. So if I were to buy just like a porcelain plate, it is either round or uh it has like the deep edges like what I'm using to hold my pens of watercolor on the side, which I didn't want. I wanted something with very, very shallow rims. So I thought I should make it myself. And in the video, the person explained that they use varnish to kind of like waterproof the palette. And I bought like some varnishes as well. And here am I. I also said the same thing when I was actually filming the video, which is explaining about my palette. And those little like square palettes were also made with air dried clay. So the next one will be Deep Sea Indigo, which is PV62 and PG18. So PV62, again, I'm using the Jackson's Art Cobalt Violet Deep Hue. And PG18 is actually a Viridian. The brand that I'm using is just Holbein. I think PG18 is kind of, the same for most brands, just how easy or how difficult it is to re-wet. Holbein one feels fine. It wasn't all that difficult to re-wet on most days. So back to the palette, and so I bought varnish, I bought air dried clay, and I was like ready to go. I made the palette, let it dry, I painted it with acrylic, and I put the varnish on, and it started peeling. So I was like, okay, is it the paint? Is it the clay? Is it the varnish? Am I doing something wrong here? So I thought, oh, maybe I didn't let the clay dry enough. So and the paint and the varnish could just like peel off like in one piece. So I peeled everything off. I let the clay dry for another 2 days, and I painted it again. And then the paint started peeling off even before I could varnish it. So I was like, what's going on? And I went on forums and people said, oh, you should gesso it. So okay, I bought a bottle of gesso and I primed it and I painted it, and then I put the varnish, and still the varnish was kind of just, it wasn't a nice texture. It wasn't like this glossy or like matte finish or whatever that it was. It was just like this streaky finish. So I went online again, and then they said, oh, the only way is epoxy resin. So I went out and I bought epoxy resin. So all in all, to create those small little square palettes, and then this one long palette, I used up an entire bag of clay because I threw away the initial few that just didn't work out well, and one bottle of gesso and one 2-part epoxy resin. So all in all, creating these few pieces costed me almost like 40 Singapore dollars, which is kind of stupid because the porcelain plate on the side that I'm using to hold the pens, those were from Daiso, which is like $2. So from Daiso, if I spend that $40, I could have got like 20 of those plates. Doesn't make sense, right? But oh wells. I mean, I'm trying to use it. It's not bad, but it still stains because it's epoxy. It's not porcelain. But yeah, fun story, fun time. Anyways, this color I'm doing right now is Deep Sea Blue, which is three pigments: PG50, PV16, and PB29. So PG50, again, I'm using Holbein's Cobalt Turquoise Light. PV16 is Schmincke's Manganese Violet, and PB29 is Schmincke's French Ultramarine. So again, it just looks kind of like similar on screen, doesn't it? Like if you look at Deep Sea Blue and Galaxy Violet and Galaxy Black and Deep Sea Violet, honestly, there are a lot of similar tones because they all use the same pigments, just maybe in slightly different ratios. So whether or not it's worth it to really go for getting the whole range of super granulating paints, I mean, if you got deep enough pockets, go for it. It's nice to have if you like this type of colors. But honestly, for me, I don't think I'll be getting another tube anytime soon. So the next color is Deep Sea Green. Deep Sea Green is very nice in the swatch that Jackson provided, but the one that I mixed up just looks a little bit off, and I don't really know why. I think it's because of the Viridian that I have isn't really doing much, because Viridian is such a low tint color, and probably Schmincke's owns Viridian will be better in this scenario. But it still gave me a very nice like turquoisey, leaning a lot towards green color. So this is PG18, which is Viridian, and PB29, which is French Ultramarine. So the last color for the Deep Sea range is Deep Sea Black. And Deep Sea Black is three pigments: PBK11, PB74, and PB35. So PBK11 will be Daniel Smith's Lunar Black, PB35 will be Daniel Smith's Cerulean Blue, PB74 I do not have, but if I'm not wrong, it's a color similar to Cobalt Blue. So what I'm using is the Jackson's Art Cobalt Blue, which is the so-called standard PB28 formulation. And I actually think this looked quite similar to the reference that I'm using. So it worked out well. I don't really have many complaints about it. So all in all, like, I'm just a little bit sad that my audio, for some reason, just kind of gave up on life, on me. But it's okay. I hope this was interesting for you to watch. I will bring the Tundra and the Forest series to you in vlog number 2. So I'll see you then, as well as a summary of all the colors with a side-by-side comparison. So I'll see you in vlog number 2. Bye!